In the Bible, in Hebrews, it says this, I will never fail you nor forsake you. Well, it says that, but do we believe it? Can we believe it, especially in times of trouble, or to the human mind when there are times of uncertainty and we don't know where to go next, we don't know what the solution is? A friend of mine wrote me today and said, when we don't know what the solution is, we need to have a good solution, and that is spelled G, capital O, small o, D. In other words, a God solution. There have been so many times in my life, and I know yours, where we didn't know what to do, but God does. And that's the thing to remember, that no matter how bleak things appear, God will never fail us, and God will never forsake us. That God is with us, that God has our back, and that God has the answers and the solutions that we need. So when some problem seems absolutely unsolvable, and you know the kind I'm talking about, where you have tossed and turned all night long, you wake up the next day, you're groggy because you haven't slept much, and you go through the day trying to think up answers, but you just can't. Well, that's because the answers are not in here. You can't get the answer in here. You can only get the answer from God. And sometimes that is our greatest blessing. Thank God that we don't solve it ourselves, because it would be a mediocre solution at best. When we go to God, the answers to our prayers are always better than we could even imagine. Well, if you're uncertain about the future, or if you're having difficulty, as many people are, according to the prayer requests, releasing the past, well, how do you do it? You don't toss and turn all night long. You go to God. And when you go to God, you realize that God has not failed us and God has not forsaken us. So you don't let your worries and your concerns rule your life. I saw a cartoon once where there was a big black figure, and it was worry, and it was whipping a person down. And another big black figure was concern. You couldn't really see their faces. It was just a misty figure, but it looked ominous. Well, it is when we let those thoughts rule our lives instead of going to God. When you let God's Spirit lead you step by step, you're going to be led into a new life of happiness and fulfillment. God will never forsake you. God will never fail you. As you let God take charge of your life, well, you're going to realize that those seeming obstacles that seemed so large and ominous, they're nothing at all. They dissipate into the nothingness from which they came, from our literal negative imagination of the worst that could happen. And now we're thinking with God of the best that can happen, and we're seeing the best in front of our eyes. God bless your day.